Sound check. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. My name is still Mike the Man, and I'm unfortunately now going to look more at the RCMP statements. And intention detection is my specialty. So when they did this hatchet job, um, with the last article, I mean, it's a very similar article by CTV News as well as the Globe and Mail, Lindsay Jones, and I am trying not to say what I want to say, but well, what is the intention? I don't want to use the word cover up, but I want to use the word damage control right now. Right? That is the intention why certain statements were released by the RCMP. And I do believe they probably figured, you know what, Belinda, you want to ruffle our feathers, you want to make things harder for us. Let's mention Cody. Did they also mention that he was officially cleared? You see, they are giving us a few ideas in terms of let's look at Cody here. As if he was, a real suspect. And they mention they spent a lot of time on Natasha, the so called witness who did not see Jack in the lead. They figure people will now buy into the reservation story. Was it maybe Cindy Murray or one of her friends or somebody, and a woman 50 to 60 years old who took them in a gold sedan? You see, they're following what people are saying and thinking about these cases. And they go right in there with something that can now sidetrack people, mislead people. So, what I was hoping in the very beginning, for it not to happen, may actually happen. That Durwood is going to be successful with his story, not in terms of convincing reasonable people who are interested in the case that the children are taken to a reservation, but just planting the seeds. And you know what? The more you repeat a lie, the easier it becomes to believe for most people. Some of us are steadfast no matter what, but many people they flip flop and they fall for it. So, public perception is a very important thing here. And public perception is important to, I believe, any law enforcement agency because they don't want to be criticized, held accountable, or what happens when the public is unhappy with police? Nothing good, nothing that government, police, or, you know, that they would like and benefit from. So here is something about
Well, it's been 5 years now since Gabriel
Paul Palango on his new book, Anatomy of a Cover Up, Rob Brackenridge show.
Wortman murdered 22 people across 2 days in northern Nova Scotia, the largest mass murder in Canada's history. Still, many questions remain about how it all played out over those 2 days and what police knew and did before, during, and after the bloodshed. Paul Palango is an author, an investigative journalist.
And a good thing is that I hadn't paid attention to the case before, so I'm not tainted. I will come to this with an open mind.
He's written extensively about the massacre that was handled and investigated by authorities. He's the author of 22 Murders, Investigating the Massacres, Cover-Up, and Obstacles to Justice in Nova Scotia. His latest follow-up, published this month by Penguin Random House, it's called Anatomy of a Cover-Up, The Truth About the RCMP and the Nova Scotia Massacres. Paul Palango, so great to have you with us here. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good to be back.
I guess I need to give you a trigger warning.
Rob?
Well, let me ask you this question, because this book is about trying to find the truth. Is it still possible, do you think, at this point, to really fully understand and document the truth of what happened over those days?
I think, well, I've been doing this for 5 years along with some citizen investigators. And it was quite clear from the beginning, before the Mass Casualty Commission even sat, I wrote 22 murders. And note, I put in the title, the subtitle, The Cover-Up and the Obstacles to Justice. Because I sensed this is what they were doing.
I had more faith in the RCMP than I did in their colleagues in Tennessee, I must say. But now, that has really changed.
The evidence told me they were doing this. And I wanted to force the Mass Casualty Commission, the federal provincial public inquiry set up to investigate it, to deal with all the people and all the scenarios I raised. That I knew they would hide it and come up with a false narrative. And I sat there, and then we...
So, if I cannot, if they're closing the case, then...
spent more than a year going through all the documents. And so how do we prove this? It's the negative proof.
Yeah.
In large measure. You know what the negative proof is? You take what is purported to be the truth, and in their narrative, take their narrative as the truth and prove it wrong.
Absolutely. You prove their narrative wrong, and then you look for the avoidances.
So I proved it wrong in this book, Anatomy of a Cover-Up, time and time again. Which means if their truth is not the truth, there's another truth out there. Mm-hmm. And I suggest and actually prove what some of the other stories are. But what this whole thing is, one of my citizen investigators, Ryan Potter, he said the other day as he was going through the book, which just came out today officially, he went through the book and he says, imagine this thing as a train trip that begins before the massacres in 2020, through the massacres and up till now.
Okay. I also need to highlight that from the very beginning, I used the pledge system whenever the RCMP people made statements. And they have been deceptive from day one, which is often the case when you deal with official statements. But what was the intention behind it? Well, in the very beginning, of course they didn't want, the public to know what they're really thinking in order to go, do this procedurally and not, without having probable cause. They didn't want to name somebody a suspect without the evidence. But they also want to leave their doors open for damage control purposes, meaning they don't want to reveal too much information because later they can redact a lot. They want to be able to redact things while highlighting stuff that makes absolutely no sense. It made no sense for them to spend so much time on Cody in this one article and on that false witness. So now the intentions have shifted, I believe. They have been shifting gradually when they realized we don't have enough evidence and we messed up here and there. But now that Belinda gave them a call, they got extremely nervous. So now they want to lead people into different directions. And let's hear what he has to say.
And the train stops at a bunch of stations along the way over the years. Every stop, he said, there's a screw up. There's something not right.
Absolutely.
Story's not right. He says every single one of them. So the narrative was shaped, and what I've done is sort of disassemble that narrative and provide you with clues to what the real narrative is.
What do you think then is so damaging or embarrassing or even scandalous about the truth?
I think there are so many issues that they're hiding. I think the number one issue that I always suspected was that Gabriel Wertman, the shooter, was a confidential informant for the RCMP or an agent. We don't know, but they're not. The government's not allowed to tell you or admit he was, even after he's died. That was one thing to cover up, but then all the debacles that happened during the 13-and-a-half-hour murder spree.
So I don't know anything about the case, but now, of course, I want to know a little bit more. So I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of what he's saying right now, right? Because I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any of it, at least not yet. But I find it interesting, and I think that all of us, as an analyst, you need to be aware of the fact that no matter who gives you information, never have your guard down. Don't take people's words on anything unless they give you reliable statements. That means if it's an official statement, doesn't matter if it's law enforcement or the government or whatever, you will be able to detect what the truth is. And that is exactly why I feel that's a good reason to share this. For those of you who may not, may be reluctant to be as dismissive as I can be about official statements when I hear them. So this happened 5 years ago. Wow. Yeah, you can read it, right? 22 people in Nova Scotia. Okay. Wait a minute. Here he is on a different program. This came up 3 hours ago. Holy crap. It says Sullivan update. Let's see.
We're at the quarter century mark, Paul. We're doing pretty good here. This is August 24th, 2025. Almost a whole bunch of 25s in there. How are things going, Paul?
Well, it's the third week of August. And what is the third week of August? Tomato season. This is the 72 hours where you get to eat all the tomatoes before they go bad.
Oh, yeah.
Sharon, you know what I call these? Sharon's $500 tomatoes, because she loves them and does all kinds of stuff with them and makes them beautiful. They taste great, but then they're gone.
Well, remember the Seinfeld reference to that the tomatoes are great, but you can never find a good one. That's why they never caught on as a hand fruit. You know? Well, that's good. It's a good time of year.
These are very good tomatoes. These are very good tomatoes, but being what they are, they all come at once, no matter what you do, and then you got to eat them like as much as you can, and gone 72 hours a week. I don't know.
Well, it's you make the most out of the 72 hours or however much you get out of it. It's that time of year, though, right? You get the tomatoes. Soon it'll be blueberries, and everybody will be picking blueberries and freezing them for the detoxifying effects throughout the winter.
Cut the small talk.
The other thing, Paul, it's sort of starting into hurricane season. Did you get any effects from Hurricane Aaron down your way?
Not a thing.
No, it was all this hype.
It's so dry, no rain.
No rain still. We're still under a forest ban here in Nova Scotia. And the hype all week of Hurricane Aaron is coming up the coast. And every morning in the weather report, oh my. Like, it's such a overhyped thing, these weather reports.
So this is Adam Rogers, Nova Scotia lawyer, dispersing the fog. Let's hear it, broski.
We did get some ocean waves here and knocked me off the paddleboard a few times, so that was fun. But we've got
I'll leave that to you. It's not my sport.
Oh man, yeah, it was pretty fun. You got to get out.
Well, I figured they're yapping a little bit in the beginning, and then it's gonna be serious. That's actually better. I should have found this.
The ocean a little
shouldn't
bit
have
when
nothing.
it's
I'm
this
doing
is
what I'm
also
doing.
the few weeks when the ocean's warm enough to enter here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, little known fact, that area around Antigonish has some of the warmest waters in the north at this time of year, doesn't it?
As we move along.
Move along.
So, Paul, maybe just start with the Jack and Lily Sullivan story. There was an update this week. There was some media entities, the CBC, Globe and Mail, I think Global News as well, had applied to get some search warrant documents that the police had filed with the courts.
When did they apply for it? Did they apply for it a long time ago and all of a sudden received them?
And not a ton of new revelations from these, Paul. Some, though. Looks like everybody did lie detector tests. The two biological parents, the stepdad, the step grandmother, others. And there was a pink blanket that was found with belonging to the daughter, Lily. The biggest, I guess, the headline seems to have been that the police don't think that there's criminal involvement here. Is that your read of things?
I hope not.
I don't know. I mean, how can you tell what's going on in this story? I mean, the RCMP are notoriously bad at investigating. And
that's why I'm watching this. That's why it's been sent to me. Thank you very much to the person who sent it to me.
Who knows if they're telling the truth or not telling the truth, if this is some sort of tactic to flush things out by saying there is no criminal investigation. They may be playing the audience. I don't know. The story just is.
For sure they are playing the audience. 100% that is the intention, to confuse the audience. As a matter of fact, they throw out all kind of stuff. Cody, that witness, all of this they throw out, and they don't even say, well, they say it's not a criminal investigation, but sure, we're gonna make it one if we feel like it, as in if some evidence that will lead to a conviction falls into our laps without us having to do too much to look for it and not admit previous mistakes by us.
Confounding.
You wonder
the kids
if
are missing. They're saying the parents didn't do it, and in that story they're now talking about, well, somebody saw them going into a car with a woman with curly hair or something like that.
Like, I thought that was the headline. I saw that too, Paul. I was like,
and you know what? I don't think he is. See, he's very busy with other cases, right? So I don't think he paid too much attention to Jack and Lily Sullivan, which is not a bad thing, because he notices the effect that such an article can have. So while most people read it like, okay, oh, maybe, okay, not criminal, good, yeah, okay, hopefully. And there's also a lot of wishful thinking on the parts of many, right? They say, oh, maybe, yeah, maybe they're safe, maybe they're okay, these poor children, I hope that's same. I said the same about Seth Rogers, that I don't think he lives in reality, which is understandable to a degree, of course, because hope is what keeps him going. It's wishful thinking, right? And it's understandable that even Belinda reached out to the reservation. She didn't believe that stupid story, but just that little glimpse of hope can be enough to keep us going. But and so a lot of the audience also will probably say, well, I hope, hey, let's too much negative news all the time, right? So I can understand where people go, well, let's just hope they're gonna be safe, and maybe this woman is giving them a better life than they had in their trailer. But then again, the story also is so misleading. Like Malaya tidied up. Malaya never tidied up. What the hell are you talking about? Malaya tidied up. So, again, if any of you can find this initial report saying that everything was clogged up and they had to drain the water out of, what a mess it really was, right? Please send it my way if you find it. Send me the link. Even if you cannot open it because you're in Canada and don't want to pay for this, I'll be able to open it outside of Canada. And I will read it on the air. That part, at least.
Isn't this the most important detail that we've heard throughout this entire time? So there was
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because the witness came forward, the so called witness, May 31st, almost a month after the disappearance. How much did she exactly remember at the time? Why didn't she come forward earlier? Why did she say the girl had pigtails? Why did she say the girl was 9 to 10 years old? There is no way Lily looked 9 to 10 years old. Jack, yeah, maybe he could have been 5, but Lily, not 9 to 10 years old. There's nothing important. He's falling for it.
a Natasha Haywood, don't know Natasha Haywood, says she saw the two kids walking north towards Westville.
Not the 2 kids. She saw 2 kids, right?
In Pictou County, got into a tan or gold sedan, seemed to, have no difficulty getting into it.
Towards Westville?
2 kids walking north towards Westville, in Pictou County, got into a tan.
Where are you reading this from, dude? Okay, so maybe he's reading from Global News. So apparently there's a third article about
Today we
the same
received a
thing.
slew of documents.
No, it's all the same. She said she saw 2 children, were the children that she saw, not the children, Jack and Lily. I haven't seen this one yet.
Newly released court documents show previously unreported details about
Global
2
News.
missing children in Nova Scotia. The documents say Lily and Jack Sullivan were last seen at a local Dollarama with their mother and stepfather 1 day before they were reported missing. The paperwork also sheds more light on missing. The paperwork
Wait.
1 day before they were
I just want to see this place. The House of Horrors. The Shack of Horrors.
1 day before they were reported missing. The paperwork also sheds more light on a pink blanket found in the search, saying family members located it in a tree. On May 4th, another piece of blanket was seized by police in a trash bag. Police confirmed both pieces were part of the same blanket.
Okay, that was short and sweet. What is this?
Doing forensic tests on a blanket linked to 2 children who have been missing for more than 2 months. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan disappeared from their home in northeastern Nova Scotia on May 2nd. Scotia RCMP say they're doing forensic tests on a blanket linked to 2 children who have been missing for more than 2 months.
More than 2 months. Now it's almost 4 months. So that was 2 months ago. Why are they not telling us what the test results were? Forensic testing, and still we don't have any information. That's incredible. That they don't want to tell us.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan disappeared from their home in northeastern Nova Scotia on May 2nd. In an update today, police said they are reviewing nearly 5,000 video files from the area and doing tests on a pink blanket that was found during the search.
The blanket was located and seized very early in the investigation.
Who located it?
Was outside and found near Lily and Jack's home. The family has confirmed that the blanket belonged to Lily. Police are investigating if and how it relates to her and her brother's disappearance.
Police say as part of their investigation, they're assessing more than 600 tips from the public, interviewing more than 60.
And why did she say near their home? It's been a kilometer away. Also misleading. always keeping the door open to mislead us further in the future if needed to.
People and conducting polygraph tests.
But this one is actually not so bad.
Province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information relating to the two siblings who.
Okay, let's go back. So for a lawyer, he needs to be more careful how he reads things, in my opinion.
So there was a Natasha Haywood, don't know Natasha Haywood, says she saw the two kids walking north towards.
You see, he makes it sound like she was talking about Jack and Lily, that she saw Jack and Lily for sure. What is he doing? Whose side is he on?
Westville, in Pictou County, got into a tan or gold sedan, seemed to, have no difficulty getting into it. Now, she did get the ages wrong or estimated them incorrectly for the children, but boy, that seems, if true.
Here's the thing. This is how effective this is, what the RCMP put out there. Even though he's a lawyer, and he should be smarter than that. Looking at, don't lawyers specialize in tearing witness apart on the stand? So you're telling me that a month later, you suddenly decided that those were Jack and Lily that you saw, but you got the ages wrong by 4 years? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Tell the jury. You have to. And what is he doing here? You see, that's why I have a hard time watching almost anything, because it is just a clutter of inaccuracies and misleading interpretations and so on and so on. That's why I watch a Crime and Shame. When it's on, when something important is there, I watch that part. Then, same with anything else. Doesn't matter what channel it is. The only ones I can stand are, JLR I watch. But when Joseph Morris at the end says something I disagree with, then I listen to everything. I listen for a little bit, and then I say, okay, this is not what I need to hear right now. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this is not, I watch Joseph and I watch JLR right now. JLR at least has some energy, and he gets on the scene, and he doesn't seem to have an agenda about things. And he moves fast. That's what I like also. I cannot watch like somebody like this dragging things out and then not being accurate. But do you see now what effect this article can have on the average person? I'm not just talking the dumbest of the dumbest. I'm talking about, middle class, if not upper class people, education-wise.
Maybe the police just don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, maybe police don't believe. I don't know. I'm not really prepared for this. I just read stuff.
It's a story. Nothing much has changed in the story from the beginning.
Yeah. All the searching they've done.
There's all kinds of interest, like people writing about it, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
9,300 videos and 740 tips provided to the RCMP, and really, nothing.
Daniel went down the back roads, and he knows them very well.
And the suspicious part of this from the beginning was that the couple,
yes.
Daniel Martel and Michaela Brooks Murray,
can't even get their names straight.
Stopped talking to each other the day after the children went missing, right? So that sort of bred.
Sorry, guys, but this is what I do. That's why I'm good at what I do, because I have an eye for detail. So when it's not detail-oriented, I tend to tune out and tend to tune into something else that's more detail-oriented. But I don't overlook pronouns, I don't overlook articles, I don't overlook anything, right? And this is what is going to happen to each of you learning the pledge system, that it's going to make your life more efficient. It's going to make everything easier. It's going to clear up confusion before it starts. So this guy has no damn clue, but he wants to bring up a topic that is current. And after all, it is why I'm watching right now. But I'm not watching because of you. I'm watching because of him.
Suspicion from the beginning. The biological father who's not seen the children for 3 years.
So he doesn't have a clue, but he goes. So that's why what sticks out to him are superficial things, right? Which of course needs to be noted, but there are many other things. That is not the reason why I know Daniel, as I said, everything's my opinion only.
No contact. Is that suspicious or not?
It's not suspicious, you idiot.
Anyway, it's not clear.
Anyway, it's not clear. Well, don't bring it up, dude. Let him talk.
So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on that a little bit, but
I thought you're here to inform us.
yeah, it doesn't seem like the police are being completely forthcoming. I mean, the media had to apply to get these documents.
When did they apply?
So yeah, maybe they're trying to put everyone in a false sense of security, and all of a sudden somebody texts something, the wrong thing to the wrong person, and the story breaks. So we'll keep an eye on it, I guess.
I guess.
All right, let's go right across the country. This Amy Ham story.
Thanks for nothing, bro. At least I know what I'm not going to waste my time on. But the biggest problem is not just these hatchet jobs, but also useful idiots like that who will spread the misinformation and misinform even further. And the public will be confused, and Daniel is going to be very, very happy. They're doing much better job than Durwood ever could have. But Durwood started it, so, let's see if I missed anything.
Were reported missing last month. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on May 2nd in Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. In a brief phone call today, the children's maternal grandmother told Global News the family's focus is on finding Lily and Jack, and they hope this reward will help. Premier Tim Houston says he's also hoping for the safe return of the children. Nova Scotia's Justice Minister says the province is doing everything they can to support the RCMP in the investigation.
Everyone's obviously still hoping for the safe return of the children. It's a really difficult thing. The whole community is feeling that emotion. So I know there's been a tremendous effort and response to try to find them, and the response continues, and we're all just hoping for the safe response.
We appreciate the work of the investigators, the RCMP, and others who responded in the early days and as the case has unfolded to support the search and now the investigation. We really appreciate it.
Blah, blah, blah. And since they're calling it not criminal nature, let's not forget about this guy. Come on, dude.
If this is not a criminal investigation now, I'd be totally surprised.
Why don't they interview him? Why doesn't Lindsay Jones interview him? I want to hear what he has to say.
It's been almost 6 weeks since Lily and Jack Sullivan were first reported missing from the...
Okay, we know all that. And what happened to the Truth Verification Unit?
Several national agencies have joined the investigation for missing Pictou County siblings, Jack and Lily Sullivan. The RCMP says more than 11 RCMP units are working the case, including the Major Crime Unit, Behavioral Sciences Group, and Criminal Analysis Service. The National Centre for Missing Persons and the Canadian Centre for Child Protection have also joined the investigation.
Yes.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack were reported missing on May 2nd from their home in Lansdowne Station. Despite several extensive searches, a review of hours of video footage, and interviews with 54...
Enough. So again, there are few people I listen to. I don't know Well, let me hear a little bit more from this guy on a better podcast.
At every stop along the way, something happened.
Right.
And they covered it up and massaged the story to make it look like to give the RCMP a semblance of heroism.
Right.
Also about why the truth matters here, right? Because 22 people were murdered that day. And so it's not just a question about how it was handled after the fact, the before and during are about where lives are on the line here. And did 22 people need to die? Like, this really cuts to maybe the most important question here, right, Paul? That did these people, or did all of them, really need to die here?
No, certainly not. I mean,
and I like with him, you know, there's no tomato talk first. So this is a lot better.
One of the key witnesses, the way I tell the story is that 16 people who were very close to Gabriel Wortman were excluded from being examined in public at the Mass Casualty Commission out of fear of further traumatizing them.
Oh, yeah.
But when you go through their evidence, that's where the real story seems to lie. And one of those witnesses is a Halifax cop who gave a statement and shortly after the massacres. And he was a friend of Wortman's. And in that, he says Wortman was not going to give his money to anyone. He wasn't doing all this stuff. He didn't think he was going to die. He said Wortman was a guy who was, essentially, there's one word missing in what he said. It's sort of inaudible. But it could only mean he was a dead man walking in Canada, is essentially what he was saying. He had to get away. He planned to fake his own death. Something went wrong. And I firmly believe that's the story. I've always believed that was the story. But I eventually found it in the evidence that they buried, that Wortman was. So if you take that scenario, well, how did he know that? And why was Wortman a dead man walking? And from the beginning, I connected this to him having his cover blown when the Hells Angels or some group like that were after.
Why did he do it? Why did he kill so many people? Can we ever really fully understand that?
I don't know if we can really understand it. I think the key to that is his so-called common law wife. And if you read the book, you'll see why I say so-called. I think she knows, and she's been entirely protected by the system. You know, nobody's allowed to.
And for the record, I don't like to spend too much time on these things. I'm pretty realistic as a person. I expect, you know, I don't automatically expect good, right? That, you know, and the further I go along with what I do, the more I realize how much deception exists in all walks of life. So I find this interesting, though, because if this is a routine strategy, it cannot surprise us that the day after Belinda told the RCMP what she planned to do, they acted so damn quickly. They are so slow to get the footage from that neighbor with the 20 cameras in the forest. So slow. They are so slow to realize, maybe we should go to the pipeline. And how long did it take them? And then they expect to find evidence that Daniel and his friends, in my opinion, have removed. But when it comes to something like this, within a day, so you cannot tell me that the day there's a coincidence. And when did they apply for the court documents? Long ago? And all of a sudden, they give them with the redacted stuff. That's what they're good at. That's when they get serious. That's when they have a sense of urgency. All of a sudden, it's damage control time, right? So, I hate to blow any bubbles, and don't think for a second that this is simply a Nova Scotia or RCMP thing. These types of things I have Don't think that for 1 second that this is, this is anything unique. And I know that many people outside of Canada, when they hear the term RCMP, Royal Canadian Mountain Police, Royal, it may, some may assume that they are, the best of the best, but never let a phrase fool you. So this is basically to shake you guys up and give you a different perspective, so you're not going to be shocked by this and future articles that may come out. So is it a surprise? Yeah, it kind of is to me. I didn't know that. Well, yeah, Belinda, I didn't had I known what preceded it, less. But let's hear a little bit more.
Ask a question of her, a really meaningful question. She's never been cross-examined, and she's been considered a victim from the beginning. And I spent 4 chapters essentially laying out the real story as far as I can see.
I want to talk about the public inquiry, the Mass Casualty Commission that was set up that was supposed to be about getting to the truth. And I guess maybe in some ways, some of the documents it produced, it did shed a lot of light on what happened. But what was this whole exercise in your view?
Like many public inquiries in Canada over the last 40 years, it was used as a public policy tool to engineer public opinion, sort of to manufacture consent.
Yeah, public opinion. That's exactly what they're good at. And it works. I mean, you saw the interview with the other guy that he had, right? And that dumbass was falling for it. And he's a lawyer. I mean, give me a break, man. This is the reality we live with. So let's keep going.
The story. So the RCMP original story was there was a domestic violence case gone wrong, and this man went off his rocker. And then the Mass Casualty Commission did everything it could to make that story work. And I spent 500 pages showing you that that wasn't the story.
Okay.
Where was it of some value, though? Because as you detail in the book, a lot of your investigative work sort of started from information that emerged through the commission or documents that emerged through the commission. Did it help at least open up avenues of investigation?
So just to make sure this is crystal clear, I'm not singling out Nova Scotia. I'm not singling out Tennessee when it comes to Sebastian Rogers. These are things I have learned over the years about many locations. So the worst thing we can do is say, wow, look how they're doing things over there. When you say that, that's when you're most likely to miss something in your own neighborhood. I want to make this very, very clear to all of you listening.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we did a book launch party on Sunday, and it struck me when I was talking that the RCMP and the justice system is really good at manufacturing stories. The RCMP likes to say, likes to promote its ability to do Mr. Big Stings and get criminals and lure them into these fantastic scenarios. And it struck me that what we did is I took a bunch of ordinary people who are forgotten, otherwise ignored, and turned them into investigators, willing investigators who worked on their own time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like a Mr. Little sting on the police, the government, and the justice system. And we essentially played them, set them up, made them produce documents. Then we showed that we could penetrate the RCMP, the DOJ, the Mass Casualty Commission, get things out. So let them know that you better produce things because we're going to find them. And so they didn't know what we didn't know or what we did know. So they had to produce documents. Then they massaged the narrative, hid those documents. Then we spent a year going through the record. And there's like 1 million words in the last report, probably 2 million words and graphs in the underlying documents. Very difficult to search, but we went through them and we found some smoking guns.
Yeah.
What stood out to you then in terms of what you found that might have even come as a surprise to you?
Well, one of the lingering questions was the murder of Corey Ellison, who was visiting his father at Portapic that Saturday night in April 18th, 2020. And his brother Clinton, people who remember this incident remember his brother Clinton and being interviewed the next day or day after about hiding in the woods for 4 hours and being hunted down and stuff like this. And afterwards, Clinton Ellison would say, I think the Mounties killed my brother. And then he had some issues, and then he would say, oh, no, I apologize. And then he'd go back, I think they killed my brother.
Huh.
Well, the evidence we've gone through seriously makes the case that Gabriel Wortman did not kill Corey Ellison.
Wow.
And if he did not kill Corey Ellison, who killed Corey Ellison? And by going through everything, it looks like the Mounties accidentally shot Corey Ellison.
Wow.
That's the argument I can make. And that's one of the things they had to cover up that night.
Well, and as you go through it and you detail what witnesses were saying,
I'd love to see some statements from, I'd love to see some statements. You see, I don't agree or disagree with anything until I see the statements, and then I get a very good idea very quickly. So for now, I'm listening to this because I think it can help some of our viewers to realize why I'm not taking the RCMP these new articles seriously, because I have no reason to. You know what I mean? And those of you who listen to me, I mean those who listen to me also. And I was very happy with that. But when you go on Twitter, people already flip-flopping. Well, maybe we were too harsh on Daniel. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think Durwood was right. Somebody, we need to find that woman who picked up the children. They're very easy to influence. And I think that the vast majority of people, unfortunately, are like that. So that is why public relations is such a huge part for a police in a police department. The public perception can be easily influenced, and there are not many people who do what this guy does, which is he's saying, let's look at the facts. Just because you have an official statement and it means nothing. Let's look at it, and you get a hang of it after a while. You don't need to go through the different you don't need to actively look for the deception or the avoidances. It just comes to you with practice. It just automatically comes to you, to the point where like with this other interview, I cannot even finish listening to it, because when I'm overloaded, then I take a break and I say, okay, there's nothing good for me here. So
what was on the 911 calls, all of the evidence, it was a lot of panic. It was a lot of confusion. It was a very unorganized response. And I guess in part, maybe that's where sort of the embarrassment comes for the RCMP is how they handled all of this.
Oh, yeah.
But look at what's come out recently about what's his name? Berkowitz, right? I don't think he acted alone. But at the time of the arrest, it was a political decision to say, hey, we got him. Everything is good now. Because, people were getting unhappy with the police. When people get too unhappy with law enforcement, saying, who are these people? Why can't they keep us safe? That's when law enforcement officers become worried about their jobs, their positions, and they feel like they need to do something. So it can be easier to say, well, this is now, we got this covered, we got this now, we got the guy. We are heroes now. Everybody, you know, everybody shut up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a former deputy commissioner of the RCMP call me shortly after it happened and said, this is the worst day in the history of the RCMP, and this is likely the end of the force.
No, it's not.
That's how dramatic that was.
They know how to maneuver their way out of it. So this was Lily and Jack and Belinda. It's probably just a routine thing for them. And then you combine this with the media being completely controlled, and law enforcement and the media, and that's why the public is left in the dark so much about so many things.
As if people forget. And so the system rallied around the RCMP to protect them and create a narrative that Canadians would buy, much like they've done in the past with other public inquiries. Not get to the answer that was right, but get to the answer the government wanted to be right. And in this case, they shaped the narrative to probably cover up the shooting of who really shot Corey Ellison. There needs to be an investigation there, and we will pursue that. Another thing they did, Rob.
Don't get killed, dude.
About 2 years after the murder of Constable Heidi Stevenson, who was the 20th victim of Wortman, the RCMP and the Mass Casualty Commission came up with a scenario that Heidi Stevenson actually got out of her car and fired 14 shots and was involved in a heroic gun battle with Wortman and actually wounded Wortman, and that's how he was identified eventually. I went through all the evidence, and I was writing in this book that I don't believe that happened. And as I was double checking the records, I came across a document, an exchange of documents between the then head of the RCMP, the chief operations officer, Chief Superintendent Chris Leather, and the interim head of the Serious Incident Response Team, the police watchdog. And in that exchange, it shows how the RCMP admitted she had been executed. And then after the RCMP union said, oh, she rammed Wortman and took him off the road, that didn't happen. And then the RCMP came up with this scenario that, well, maybe she wounded Joey Weber, the 21st victim, and there should be an investigation of this. And the interim director, Pat Curran, sent the surety letter back to the RCMP 2 or 3 days after the massacre saying, essentially, how dare you? I'm not going to try to prove there was a gunfight that didn't happen. Right. You said, in your own words on Sunday, as you investigated it, that she was executed. And 27 witnesses, well, most of the 27 witnesses never saw her get out of her car. So this raises questions about planted evidence and things like that. So this was never really investigated by the MCC. But they needed a hero, and they decided to make Heidi Stevenson a hero when she was put into a situation she shouldn't have been put into. 19 people were dead. It'd been going on for 12 and a half hours.
So one of my last videos was called Why is the RCMP playing games? Of course, it's better for me to have this guy say it than me say certain things. It feels better that way. As a Canadian, when I opened my newsfeed and saw this article, I was so shocked at such drivel being reported. So disappointing. Yep, to say the least. To say the least, guys. I completely feel you there. But, well, Yeah, there are also other comments about RCMP was too soft on Daniel. No, I will not let it go cold, guys. Let's not. So one comment here that I have not verified, but I'll just read the comment. That sighting of the kids was bogus. That woman is from Nova Scotia that claimed she saw them. I found her Facebook profile and she has changed where she is from. She is from Nova Scotia. She knows Daniel and his family. The whole sighting story was bunk. Well, I'm just reading. This is your statement, uh, and I'm not going to confirm or deny any of this, right? I have to look at the. I actually tried to find it. There were so many people with that name. I'm also very much like Charmaine's inside. Yeah, first time about the range above the door. The last video showing the kids would show pigtails in Lily's hair because they put the kids in bed with their street clothing on. Absolutely. Let's see that. Let's see what Lily looked like. But she's not 10 years old anyways. Why so much confusion about what the kids were wearing? Yeah, that's what I say. Let's stick with the facts. And also CPS. I mean, do they want people to know how much they failed? There's going to be a lot of failure exposed by Belinda. A lot of failure. CPS, RCMP, it's gonna be ugly for many. So I'm not surprised that they are sending what could be a warning shot of some sort, right? Dumbo. Dambiel Martel, yeah. My keep on. Oh, this is not even one of my. Huh. My last one was called Daniel can hardly believe his luck. Watching this Monday morning, we as Canadians should phone to the RCMP, put pressure on the. Yeah, you know what? The problem is that most people, they buy this crap. That is always the problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, I agree on Belinda. Now, you guys advised me that 60 minutes is a good time for a video. Yeah, media is extremely soft on law enforcement, of course. Of course. Of course, you know? And, wow. I think that's it for now for me. Next time, I will continue maybe a little bit with this guy talking about the RCMP, you know? And again, this is not about singling out this law enforcement agency. Yes, Janie should be re-examined. Mike, you're right. They ask you first about medication, high blood pressure, chronic pain, etc. before they do the examine. They should be re-examined by somebody else. Absolutely. What's going on with this? I want to see Janie back there. Janie, take another polygraph. I think you flunked this one. You know what I mean? They should have been arrested and taken off the property here. That's what I like about the Emmanuel Harrow case. They went for it, and that's, you know. And also, eye for detail. Why did Janie tell her brother that morning that she was going back to bed? How would he know she had been up and out already? Very good question. I mean, if he called her, she could have been in bed, right? Yeah, it's absolutely connected to Belinda, and she needs all our support. Yeah, you know what? A lot of these channels, they have nothing but they allow anything on there, Kim. But guys, I'm done for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.